A victim of alleged grooming gangs is calling on the First Minister to launch a national inquiry. Taylor says she was 13 and in care when she was targeted by a Pakistani grooming gang in Glasgow. She's written to John Swinney calling for a full inquiry into grooming gangs in Scotland. At First Minister's questions, Mr Swinney said he is not ruling it out, while our political editor Colin Mackay was watching. So Colin, where does this leave us?
Well, Taylor's case was brought up at First Minister's questions by the Scottish Conservatives. The UK government has already ordered an inquiry in England, although it's currently in crisis after a number of victims quit from its liaison panel. And it was actually Elon Musk who piled pressure on the UK government to do that. And it's a campaign that's been taken up in Scotland by the Tories.
Taylor and other victims say there must be a grooming gangs inquiry in Scotland. They say it's the only way to uncover the scale of the abuse, establish why it went unchecked and ensure that it cannot continue. So will John Swinney agree to the inquiry being asked for by Taylor and other victims?
First Minister.
Police Scotland is actively reviewing current and historical child abuse investigations to determine what issues need to be addressed in any potential inquiry. The Government has remained open to the question of a grooming gangs inquiry, but there is a series of steps being taken to explore these issues at the present moment.
So John Swinney's not ruling out an inquiry here, but it doesn't sound like he's ruling one in yet. His focus seems to be more on action and intervention to stop things like this happening now. What we've seen is the doubling of online abuse reports to police in the last year, and he wants to focus on that rather than historic cases.
And Colin, the Scottish Labour leader, talking about the crisis in his party at Westminster for the first time.
This row has been engulfing Labour at Westminster, and when I was asking Labour MSPs here about it, Anas Sarwar wasn't anywhere to be seen, but he was in the Parliament today for First Minister's questions, and I caught up with him afterwards. Do you have confidence in the Prime Minister?
Absolutely, and if Scotland wants to see a meaningful change, the person that we need to change in a top job is the First Minister.
And that's the chance
the people of Scotland have in 6 months' time.
From your colleagues in Westminster?
Look, I think the briefing is deeply unhelpful. It is unacceptable. It doesn't help the government. People should be focused on doing the job they were elected to do, and that is to deliver for people across the country. I see a Prime Minister that's working hard every single day. I see a Cabinet that's working really hard every single day. I wish we had a government in Scotland that was working really hard every day. So we have got to make sure in 6 months' time we make the meaningful change that people need in Scotland, and that is change the First Minister, and only I and Scottish Labour can do that.
Has the briefing from within your party at Westminster undermined the Prime Minister?
Look, it's not been helpful. I think it has undermined both the message of the government, and particularly going into the budget period. I don't think that's helpful.
So the Scottish Labour leader's not happy, but the First Minister is, and not just at the obvious discomfort of his opponents. John Swinney has been particularly excited at Scotland getting an international credit rating for the first time ever. This is about bonds, Scottish bonds, and he's planning £1.5 billion worth of them in the next Parliament if he wins the election, basically borrowing money from international investors rather than the UK government. Scotland now has the same credit score as the UK, and the First Minister says it's a proud moment for Scotland. But I think that there's a couple of Scotland scores that people will be looking out for over the next few days that might make them even more proud.